A Chesapeake couple says it's divine intervention that allowed them to escape Israel amid the war. Fighting between Israel and Hamas has brought the death toll to more than 10,000 people. Only on 10, our Maria Bray spoke with the couple who once feared they were stuck in the war zone.
It started with a desperate call to WAVY, alerting us that 12 missionaries from a Suffolk church were stuck in Israel. For several days, they waited for help until a viewer flicked on his TV. It was a mission trip a year in the making for Brian and Rita Larson.
It was a lot of anticipation, a lot of expectation.
We were looking at it as a trip of a lifetime.
And it would be, but in an unimaginable way.
Just landed in Israel, like cool, you know, we're in Israel, and then turned on the phones and heard people start talking.
Yeah, I overheard somebody like, hey, check the news. So I just went straight to X and saw what's going on. And then about 15, it wasn't long, it was like less than 30 minutes later, that's when they announced they're going to war. So it was quite like, whoa, we were quite surprised.
The couple landed in Tel Aviv a day after Hamas, a Palestinian militant group, bombed an Israeli music festival. Hundreds were killed. The attack sparked the war, fueled by decades of tension between Israel and Palestine.
Yeah, it was interesting. On the way to the hotel, off to our left was this big, huge black plume of smoke.
The Larsons stayed in Jerusalem, Israel. They were there for a mission trip with 10 others from their Suffolk church congregation.
We're just walking out on the street. This is just right out in front of the hotel.
Although they felt safe and recorded highlights from the trip, they witnessed missile strikes happening less than an hour away.
I think my heart might have quit beating for a few seconds, but that was quite overwhelming. You could actually feel it. You could feel the vibration, and you knew that it was not thunder because of that.
That was explosions going off that were probably 20, 30 miles away. But it was so loud coming over the temple, you could just, just like the goosebumps, you could still just like, holy cow. And then a couple minutes later, the sirens went off.
At one point, the Larsons had to take shelter in Zechariah's tomb. Rita is right there walking up the steps. Zechariah's tomb is a historical religious monument dating back to the Middle Ages.
We know God's got us in the palm of his hands. At the same time, we know it's, we want to get out of here before things get any worse.
The war started. 10 on your side's Maria Bray spoke with the couple as our shows started this morning. Maria, this is such a scary situation for them.
Yeah, and Rita and Brian Larson are just trying to stay positive. And since we've aired this story, a viewer called me and said his company can help get them out.
My wife and I got up that morning because my son, who is not quite 2, woke us up, and it was about 5. And if it were not for him, we wouldn't have seen the story that you were reporting on.
Within an hour of airing the Larson story, James reached out. He asked us not to show his face for security reasons. By this time, the couple had been in Israel for 3 days. Flights were canceled.
I saw your story, and I told my wife, I said, I think we can do something about this.
James is former military and CIA who works for American Kinetics. The organization has trained crews across the globe that extract people from hostile areas. And the Larsons were one of their latest.
They did their due diligence on us too. They asked me, how do we know that you're not a bad guy?
Coming up at 6, we're sharing details on the rescue efforts. I'm Maria Bray, 10 on your side.